Today, let's start with data types. The last time we finished with the introduction to Cairo and the rest. So you installed your Rufus and Agent Wallet, and you saw the components of Cairo, why the Cairo language was built the way it was built. So we saw the entire transaction flow from when the user starts a transaction to when it is settled by the verifier. So no need to go back to this since none of us has any question. We just continue from Cairo data types, and then I think today is going to be my last class with you guys. So I think from next Wednesday, another person will take over. I'm not sure yet. So we are going to run data types, do the control flow aspect of it. Then there's what we call Starklings on StarkNet. It's like where you go to practice the code. You look at it just do some few exercises, and then the remaining ones you do it by yourself. Then it's going to be an assignment. You do it and then send me your links. Try to log in, maybe with your GitHub or anything. I think it's GitHub. You connect your GitHub. We're going to look at it later. Then you connect your GitHub, try to answer the questions. And then maybe if there's a way I can check it, you can submit the link to what you did. I will check them later, if there is a way, so to say. So I'm sure all of us are already developers. So it's not like the idea of data types is new to us. So, but in our different levels of development, there are some languages that are statically typed, like strongly typed languages. Then there are other languages that is, that you can just do away with the types. And by the way, all these strongly typed languages are safer. They are safer to write and run than dynamic, like all these dynamically typed and loosely typed languages. So we have JavaScript. JavaScript does not require type for you to maybe enter type as you are maybe if you're initiating a variable or you are adding a parameter. It doesn't need you to enter the data type. So the compiler infers, like you try to predict the data type based on the value you are passing to it. Okay, but Cairo, C, C++, Java, Rust, all these advanced, higher and lower level languages, they need you to enter the data type that you are working with all the time, except in a few cases where the data type is like obvious that that the compiler can infer. Example, where you are using number. So it's easy for the compiler to know that, okay, this is what we are using. This is because everybody knows number. So, but then we also look at some data types in Cairo that might be confusing. It's not confusing, so to say, but you need to specify that you are using number. Otherwise, it's going to take it as another data type. So Cairo is a statically typed language similar to Rust. What it means is that before the compiler can compile your code, it has to know the types of every variable that are passing to the code, to all areas of the code that have variables. It must know the type of each variable. So it also enforces ownership rules. I don't know if you guys later looked at ownership. I told you on the first day to try to look at what ownership is, especially in regards to Rust and the Cairo language. So it enforces ownership and the memory safety guarantees. So I have mentioned memory safety a number of times too. So when types are not specified, the compiler can infer based on the value and the usage. So I mentioned it before. There are some instances where you don't need to pass. It's not that you don't need, but there are some instances where if you don't pass the type, compiler can easily tell that, okay, this is the type that we are passing based on the value. Maybe is a number or is a letter or letters, that kind of thing. So yeah. So on Cairo we have what we call scalar types, and we have compound types. So scalar types hold just a single value. So example, we are going to look at all this in the code. So 3252 is like short string. It only contains 31 bits, like 31 characters. So it's what we call short string because it only contains 31 characters. That I think is it four bytes. 1 byte is 8 bits. 8 times 4 is 32. Exactly, it's 4 bytes. So I don't. Maybe you guys don't know all these things, or you know, I don't know. But it's a way to like 1 byte is 8 bits, if I'm not mistaken. So 4 bytes times 8 is 32 bits. Yes. So we have integers. Integers. You have signed integer and unsigned integers, but you have to be careful when you are using signed integers. So because we are working on blockchain dApps and the applications most times, and on blockchain you don't normally use signed integers. I hope all of us know what signed integers are. So I don't want to start wasting time to go and explain it. Signed integers are just ones that can have minus negative sign. Okay, let's continue. Signed integers can have negative sign, but unsigned cannot. So signed integers maybe -1 to maybe plus 1 million or so. But it can have minus. But unsigned cannot have minus. It's only from 0. The lowest value there is 0. Then 0, 1, 2, 3, and the above. So you have booleans. Booleans is just true or false. So you have also all these types in Cairo. So if you don't specify the type of a variable or argument, the compiler will give it a default type of felt. So felt is field element. When you say felt 252, it's a short distance for field element. You get? Just know that it's felt, but the full name is field element. So felt 252 is a fundamental type. Like it serves as, I don't know how to explain it. I think in JavaScript, when you write any value at all, in JavaScript is automatically assigned string. I think so, yeah. In Cairo, any value, any variable that you don't add, you don't explicitly add the type, it will convert it straight to felt 252. So felt is like the default type in Cairo language. So by default, if you don't specify the type of a variable, its type defaults to a field element. Did you get? So I'm going to show you later in code. It doesn't mean that if you write a number like maybe 2 plus 2 and you don't specify the type that, okay, this is a number, it will still amount to 4. Yeah, but then if you mistakenly like add, because felt uses one quotation mark, then you also have byte array that is a compound type. We are still going to see all these things. So you have boolean is true or false. Then integers, I mentioned integers. These are non-decimal, so they are non-decimal. Integers are non-decimal. So an integer, I think all of us are supposed to know this by now, because I don't think we have anybody that is a newbie. Do you have any like a totally newbie, like you're just coming into programming for the first time? Anyone? I don't think so. So let's continue. Yeah. So you have different lengths of integers. So you have U8, you have U16, you have U32, you have U till U56, U256, which is the highest size of integer. I think this should be around, is it 8 bytes or so? Then you have your size. Your size is when you are maybe when you are doing a loop, or when you want to mention a size of something, maybe a number or a size of a group. Instead of using this, you just have your size, and your size is 32 bits. So I was mentioning bit before. U8 is 8 bits, U16 is 16 bits, U32 is 32 bits. So how you get this, I don't think I need to explain this. So just do 2 raised to 2 to the power of number of bytes, you get the bit. So for instance, if you want to get this 32 bits, I think is 4 bytes. So if you do 2 to the 2 raised to the power of 4, you get 32, Abi. 2 times 2, 4, 4 times 2, 8. Okay, you get 16 bits. Then is 16 times 2 is 32. Okay. So that's just the basic formula. So 2 raised to power number of like the size, maybe 4 bytes or this thing, you get the number of bits. So numeric operators in Cairo language, you have your normal operators. So it's the same. Important. So 252 is a fundamental type that serves as the basics. I have mentioned this before. It's recommended that you use integer types when you are doing calculation, especially when you are building maybe a DApp or application that involves money, like tokens. Don't use FED 252. Also, always specify that you are using integer type. Yes, because it, aside the fact that you have issues with maybe inferring the type, if you integer by default on StarkNet, integer has some checks that it does for you under the hood. Something like overflow and underflow. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys understand what is overflow or underflow. So if you don't, just ask, maybe I'll explain later. But I just assume that we know, or you can maybe research it later. Yeah, so string types, we have short strings and we have maybe long strings that we also call byte array. String types are just characters, they are similar to chars. We have chars in Rust, C. Almost all these languages have chars. Then we have str in Rust and strings in maybe JavaScript. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing in Cairo language. But in Cairo, we call it felt. 3252 is our short string. I've mentioned it before. So it can only contain 31 characters. That's 32 minus 1. It can only contain 31 characters and is denoted with a single quote. So this is just is basic, just the short string. But in the case of byte array, so long string, we have long strings in Cairo language too. But what we call it is byte array, not strings. So it's denoted by double quotation marks. Just know it's denoted, and then if you want to use it, just put double quotation marks. The compiler will know that you're using byte array. Or you can also specify that, okay, you want to use byte array. So if you have long text, then you can use it. But you have to note that storage is expensive on blockchain applications. So even though you have your byte array to use, also bear in mind that if you are saving these things to storage, it's going to cost you or your users very high amount of gas. And I'm sure we all know what gas and gas fee is. Okay. So we have compound types. We have a tuple. So see an example of tuple here. When you deserialize, is it called deserialize? When you destructure maybe a variable or an array or anything to get the elements. So this is what we call tuple. You put them in a bracket, then you use the placeholders, that's the variables, to store the values from the either the group or anything. I will still show this on the code. Let me just run down through it, then you can do all of them once. So a tuple is a general way of grouping together a number of values with different types. It must not be one type. So tuples can be of different types. If you look at the sample you have here, you have this is U32, this is U64, and this is a Boolean. So many different types can be contained in a tuple, and it can contain more than 2, 3, 4 elements. So tuples they have a fixed length, and once it's declared, you cannot come and add anything here after declaration. So once you have this, you cannot let and say maybe tup plus this or anything. You cannot manipulate this after. Okay, so we have fixed size arrays. I think all of us should know what an array is. So it's a collection of multiple values, and they must be of the same type. Okay. So you have fixed size array. The elements are added before even compilation, like when you have what you have here. So it's not compulsory to have this, but if you want to be specific, what this means is that all the elements we are passing in this array is of type U64, and we want to have only 5 of them. So 5 elements of type U64, and you have them here. So if this passes 5 in number, it's going to throw an error. And if you pass maybe failed or maybe Boolean inside it, it is still throw an error because of this. So fixed size arrays are useful when you want to hard code a potentially long sequence of data directly in your program. So when you want to hard code, the idea is that you know the elements before even you compile, and they are not going to change as the program runs maybe in the next year or next 2 years. So example, most of the things we use for this thing are things that are constant, like days of the week, like months of the year, things that will not change later. You can just have, okay, this is days of the week in an array, and you can refer to them later in the code. So the structuring the elements of a fixed size array. You can, yeah, so you use your normal block, this thing, your normal brackets in block, then assign. When you assign, you're assigning this to my array, then it's a kind of using a tuple to block out something, but you're now using block instead of bracket, you're using square bracket. So this is how you do it. You're still going to see all these things in the code. So it's just like to give you an idea of how this looks. But then you're still going to like write it down and see. So you can also use the index. How to use the index is just the name of this, then you pass your block, your square brackets. Then this is, I hope you know that index in an array starts from 0, not 1. All these ones are basic programming knowledge that you have to know. Okay, index starts. So when you want to refer to this, maybe array span is what array does span. Okay, my span bracket 2. So if you put bracket 2 here, it's going to pick out this because you are starting from 0. So this is 0, 1, 2. 0, 1, 2, and at number 2 you have 3 there. That's why you have 3 here. So let's see more of this when we start writing the code. So type conversion. Is you use into. When you use into is when you are sure that what you are converting is smaller than the type you are converting it to. Okay, so if you have maybe U8 is very small. compared to maybe U32 or U64. So when you are converting U8 to maybe U64, you just do into compiler. This is why we are doing it is because we have to be sure that the destination value, the destination slot, like I mentioned slot the other day, we have to be sure that the memory where this thing will enter will be enough for it. So if you are bringing you something that is U8, we know that U8 I think is U8 is 8 bits. Abi? So when you bring something that is 8 bits and you want to put it into something that is 64 bits, you know that is common knowledge that okay, this thing will enter. But when you have something, when you have a variable and they are not sure if it will fit into where you are going. So if you have like U64 and they want to send it to maybe convert it to another variable, maybe to another type, and they are not sure that that type will contain U64, you just try into. So why when you use in dot into, you don't need to check whether it returns an error because we are sure that it's going to work. But when you want to use try into, you have to either you use dot unwrap. Why is because it's going to return a result, an option of failure for you. So it's going to return either successful or failed. That's why you need to unwrap to see what it returns. Okay. Yeah, unwrap is like trying to open up the response, whether it passes or fails. Yes, so there's a chance of the thing failing, or there's a chance of failure. So you unwrap to see whether it's successful or not. But for into, there is no need to unwrap. Everything should work because we are sure that the size can contain it. So let's before we go into control flow, let's quickly start up a project and see these things in action. Okay, I'm going to start sharing my entire screen. Um, so can you guys see this? I'm trying to share my whole screen now. I hope you can see it. Okay, good. So we are here before. Now let's try to create a new project and then do some of these things inside. Okay, let's pay him. So I'm sure you guys can see the terminal. It's bold enough now. So to create a new project on StarkNet, I don't know how many of you did the what I told you to do the other day, like the simple create a new project, study what is inside. I don't know. So if you did it, then you'll be familiar with what you are going to do now. I just hope you guys did it. If not, just watch and learn. So you have scab, then scab new, and let's call it project one. Okay. Scab new, the name of your project, and then enter. It's going to ask you which test, which test runner do you want to use. So do you want to use StarkNet Foundry? It used to have Cairo test, but I think they have removed it. So if you don't want to run tests on your program, you can just maybe select none. But let's go with StarkNet Foundry. Exactly. So we have now created a project on on Cairo language. Okay. We have now created a Cairo project. So what I just need to do is just to seed into the project and then open it on VS Code. I hope you guys can see the VS Code too. Okay, good. Let's continue. Okay. This is this. So inside your project, you have lib.cairo. So lib.cairo is like the entry point of your project. Is this project library. That's what we call binary and library. So lib.cairo means that everything you're writing, this is going to be where it is interfacing with the Cairo language. So with the compiler. So we can just remove everything we have here. We don't need it. Although let me see. So I'm sure this is what I told you guys to check the other day. So you can just look around what we have here is the basic setup. Like this is a basic smart contract, a basic way to write smart contract on Cairo language using Cairo language. Okay. So let me increase this much. Okay, it's visible, more visible now. So this is it comes with this code base by default. And this is just a simple way to structure your code, your smart contract using Cairo language. So let me quickly run down what we have here. So we have StarkNet interface. If you want to have an interface, so it's like, what do I call it? It's like a place where you define the structure of all the functions you are going to have in your contract. Okay, so what this does is after defining the function, it will guide you so that you don't miss any of the functions when you are now creating the contract. Yeah, it's so if you I'm going to let me comment this out so that I can show you what I mean. If you comment this out, you have an error here. It's going to tell you that okay, this is not a member of this interface. If you say that you do this and then you come and comment this out, you're still going to get an error here, missing this function. So that's what I told you. It's going to like guide you to make sure that the entire functions you have on your interface is included in the implementation. Okay, so your interface, you just need to have your function signature only. So only the function signature. You are not going to write implementations. So once you have this, the function definition here, there is no need to add. Once you add this curly bracket, it's going to become an implementation and it's going to throw an error. So bear that in mind. So also watch what we have here. If you are going to write to the storage, like if you are going to change the state of your contract, like you want to write to your global variables and store something in the storage, you use this reference to self, and then inside the interface, you are using the contract state. This is nothing, it's just a placeholder. What we call placeholder is just it is represent it is standing for something that will come later. Okay, so when we say contract state is just a placeholder for when you now define it in your function and you pass the real contract state. Are we following? So you have the contract state. I can decide to just have T here. So you now know that these ones become no error at all. Correct. So okay, yes. So it's not, this is acceptable because this doesn't do anything. This thing here doesn't do any job except as a stand-in. Maybe it's just standing in for the real value that will come later inside the contract. So you can just use anything here, but we use as what do I call it? That is not a tradition, so to say, but we normally use contract state. In Cairo, we use contract state, the contract state. Sorry about that. So just copy this, paste, paste. So this is the pattern we adopted on Cairo language. This is the pattern we are using. Just capital T, then contract state. So you can still use T, but if you are writing Cairo, just use T contract state. Then you come to your contract. The other dimension you need to have your storage pointer, read access, and the write access. This will give you the functions you need to call to either read from your storage or write to your storage. Okay. So yeah, you have this is where you define your storage variables. We are using struct. So inside this your struct, you can have any number of storage variables that you need. So each of them, you enter their type. So for instance, this person is using 32 as the type. You must specify your data type. So when you are entering anything inside the struct as a storage, you must specify the data type of each element. So bear that in mind. So to start writing a contract, you just need to annotate. Just add this hash StarkNet contract above. Then this is followed by mod. Okay, mod, the name of your contract. You can write anything as the name. We normally start with capital letter. So you can just use capital letter. Then any name, the name of the contract you are creating, it must not be this. So you can change it to maybe ROC20 StarkNet, anything you want. So it's acceptable. Then you have your storage here, your global variables. Then this is if you want to write external functions. I'm sure we all know what external functions are. So if you want your functions to be external, you have to mark it with this ABI. So you embed the ABI to the function. You just an attribute we use on StarkNet to mark something as external. We normally use external V0. Let me even know that I still remember this. I normally use external V0 before. So if you do this, they will tell you that it's deprecated. It's deprecated. Use ABI item or ABI V0. So you see, we normally use this before. That was like maybe 2 years ago. But now we use ABI embed V0. So why we use V0 is because we want all the functions inside this implementation to be external functions. Okay. So this is short word for implementation of. So you just give this name. Yeah, this is. Okay, this is just a convention. Okay. So this is the name of your interface. This is the name of this interface. You can also have this interface in a separate file. Let's do it. Just wash. Okay. Let's have this in a separate file. It's going to throw error. Yes. Actually, what we need. Okay, let's just continue. We have this interface of Cairo like this, and then you have this inside here. So now let's import that. So as I was saying the other day, to import maybe a function or a library into your code, we use the use keyword. So now use let's do use project 1. Okay, no, this is not going to work. We need to make this, oh, it's public. Okay. So use project 1. Right, I wanted to check this, whether it will work. Let's just copy this. We're going to need a new file to contain this contract. Then we can import both the contract and the interface into the code environment using the library. So let's create a new file. We call it contract.cairo. Now let's paste this inside here. And then we can delete whatever we have here. And then we just have to make it public. Okay, in case you want to write a test so that you can import your contract into the test later. So you do mod, okay, and then the name of these files, contract, you see them? It will take contract, pub mod, interface. Now you have imported the two of these files into the contract environment. Now the scab can now access the two files. That's what we just did. So now we get this error, thread not found. We simply need to import this interface into the code using use. Let me try this. In fact, let me not confuse you. Just use project 1 interface. There are two ways to do it. So we now remove this super. Super is when you use super is if you have the interface maybe on the top, the way we have it before. So we can use super. That means super is looking for anything on top of the file. But since we have it in another file now, so we have to use the interface, and then we can access what is inside the interface. So now we have interface here, and then the error goes away. Now our program can compile. Okay. So this is one way to do it. Another way to do it is if I don't want to do all this, I can just remove this. And then inside the interface here, I will have this. Okay, it's accessible. So why? Oh, sorry. I'm making a mistake. This should be inside here. Oh, I even have it inside here. I just need to just add this, and the error will go away. So you see. So I think most times, if you have maybe many interfaces, you can just add the whole thing on the line, then you can just use it from here. It's your choice, actually. If you also want to just do interface, then colon this is also, you are free. You are free to do it like that. So now we have this set. So implement hello StarkNet implementation is just a convention we use. After the name of the interface, I add in IMPL. Then now this is that placeholder we had in the interface. Now we are adding the real value there. So this will give you access to all the functions and the storage variables inside the contract. The contract state gives you access to all the functions and all the storage, the state variables. So bear that in mind. Now we have the function definitions, the function being implemented. Let's explain what is this thing. Let's explain what is inside the functions. So we have create, increase balance. It's going to accept. So by default, you are going to have this. We are referencing the contract state so that you can have access to the, like I mentioned before, you can have access to the storage, your global variables, and then you can have access to also other functions available. Okay, that's why you have to reference your contract state. So this is by default. It's not a parameter. It's just what you add by default. It's a parameter, so to say, but it's doing another function totally. So the real argument we have here is this amount. And each parameter in Cairo language, each parameter must have its type at compile time. So if I remove this 3252 from here, you get an error. It must have the type before it can compile. Okay, so this is what I mentioned the other day. Assert, it uses assert the same way Rust uses it. So it's like you are making an assertion. You want to be sure that you are telling this code that this is a must. The amount must be, it must not be equal to 0. So we are saying that the amount cannot be 0. So, but I think personally, the better thing to write here is amount must be greater than 0, because not equal to 0 might mean -1, -2, though. And also this amount, this is not supposed to be failed. This is, let's write the correct thing. Let's work with maybe U 32 also. So now we are getting an error because this is not what we have in our interface. That's definitely why we are getting this error. It's not what we have in the interface. So we have to go back here and set this correctly. Okay. So we have your 32 here. The error goes away immediately. So also we are returning U32. U32. If not, it's not going to work. Because the value you save, for you to return it, it must be same type. You must return the same type that you stored. So you stored U32 here, you must return U32. You must read the same type from storage. Okay, you are returning U32. Am I getting this type mismatch? Okay, exactly. We also need to change this so that the values can match, the types can match. So just, I don't want to like start pasting. Normally, some people paste code for you guys to just see and explain. So I'm taking time to write this and correct this correction so that you see how these things work. I believe by you looking at it and seeing how the things are being corrected, you learn more. So I'm just going to copy already made code and paste for you to see. I mean, it also works, but I prefer to just write this so that people can see how the thing works. Okay, so now we are telling the compiler to check. We are telling the Cairo VM to check that any amount that anybody enters here must at least be greater than 0. That means it can be 0 0.1, 0 0.01, but it has to be 0 something more at least. So the next value from 0 is crazy actually, but in our own normal, the way we count on base 10, again, I'm sure you guys know what number base is. I'm not the only person that is doing coding. I'm sure all of us know what number base is. Normally, human beings is easy for us to count from base 10. So you have 0, 1, 2, 3. But when you start talking about the values that come after 0 in the real sense, you have 0 point infinity numbers before 1, and then, but we are interested in it must be greater than 0. You can have any number you want. The machines know how to do all those ones. Yeah, so balance, we are now writing to our global, to the state, the machine state. So what you are now telling it is, first of all, get the balance we have, okay? Assuming we have 20 inside, first of all, get that 20 out. And you check what we have already inside, and then add to it. If you have 20 and somebody enters 10 here, that means collect that 20 first, and then add 10 to that 20, making it 30, and then save it again. Do you understand this? I'm trying to like be basic as possible so that you guys will not tell me that you're not following. When you are writing to a variable, especially numbers, so you don't, let me do this so that we can, all of us can see what I'm talking about. So quickly, I'm going to convert this I'm going to convert this to a Cairo program. You know, right now we are working with a contract, but I'm going to quickly convert this to Cairo program so that we can execute it and be seeing these things as they are going. So first of all, we remove this, and then we don't need all this again. Let's see. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. 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 Okay. So. I need this. So I have secure or and then I have your main function here. I need to make a lot of changes. Okay, let's do this. StarkNet. I need to make a lot of changes. Will this help? Will this help? No, this is a contract. Mm, yes, so we are going to remove some things from our configuration and then add certain things. If you are writing a Cairo program that is not a smart contract, the setup is different from when you are writing smart contract. Okay, so what we currently have here is for smart contract like this. Now we have StarkNet, this, you have Asat macros and all these ones. Sierra is also for smart contract. Okay, I mean, we also use it for Cairo program because it's also proven. But this setup we are looking at is for smart contract. So let's get what we need for. Then we modify them. Okay, so just remove this entire paste this. The name of our project is project one. So we change this to project one. We have project one. The name of the file is contract. And then you have the main function, because when you're writing a program, the contact point is the main function. Okay. So let's check again. You don't need this. And then you see the error here has gone away. Okay, so let's take it one after the other. Now this is so what I just did, I told you guys to like run through this. I don't know if you did it, Abi. Although I sent you I sent you the link to this documentation the other day. So if you did it, it's also the same thing that you just did. Just change the name of the the name of your project. Change what you have here. So change these ones to the name of the project. This is the folder name here. This is the name of the file you are working with. And then you have the main function inside this file. Let me check if you have any questions. Okay, no, none so far. So we are going to like speed up so that we can conclude very soon. So I'm going to just be working. If you have questions, just call me back. So we have that we are going to check that amount must be greater than 0. And then comma, we have comma here. We now write the error message. So I think this is understandable, but plainly understandable. The error message is amount cannot be 0. So now I have not tried to store anything. Okay, yes, you cannot store here because this is not a contract. If you want to store anything, you have to have a database that you can make, maybe use Postgres or anything, or MongoDB. Or you can use MongoDB. So you can just route everything, store it in the database. When you need it, to fetch it back. So if you are doing with smart contract, because it lives on the blockchain, this doesn't live on your blockchain. So this is just your normal computer program, like your backend program. Okay. So you have that amount must be greater than 0. Yeah. So let's also add another parameter here. Maybe amount of 252. And let's do let sum is equal to amount plus amount. First of all, we get to the first error. I think you guys should know at least this is pretty simple. We are getting an error because this is the type we entered as the first parameter type, and now the second one is having 3252. Yep, that's why you're getting an error. It must be of the same type, or at least it must be numbers. If you change this to U8, okay. So we are saying it has to be the same type. I was thinking it might even work. So you're 32, and everything goes away. So you have this. Now you can print. You can print the result to the terminal by using print line with the exclamation mark. You write sum and then put the placeholder, comma, and then you have sum inside. This is I don't know how these things. I don't in JavaScript. I'm not sure most of you, at least maybe many of you, don't know Rust, but you know JavaScript. In JavaScript, you don't normally put this. How do you put? I've forgotten. It's been long. I wrote JavaScript last. But in Cairo and Rust, you have to put a placeholder. If you see language, you have to pass a placeholder depending on the type of data. you are returning or you are printing. So we are not doing C language today. So this is going to print. This is going to print. By the way, we can run this program, but it will not. Nothing is going to be printed because there is no value. Because again, we cannot pass. To write a program that can accept value from terminal is another work, and I don't want to go into it. It's not what we have today. So what I can do is to have this, copy it out, and then all this is not necessary. So watch what I will do now. We have another function here we call sum. So sum will take these values, and then sum will return you 32. Okay, yes, to return a value, to return anything in Cairo language, you use this arrow, just dash, and then you put greater than. You use this arrow to return anything in Cairo language. Okay. So we are returning the same type that we are working with. I don't know if we put 64 whether it will work, but let's just continue so that we not waste too much time. So now we only need to, if you want to still check the values that it must be greater than 0, you can do it. So you assert that amount must be greater than 0. If you want to check the two other ones, instead of having it separate, instead of having to assert to check for amount 1 and the amount 2, you can just do and amount 2 is greater than 0. So I'm sure all of us know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to explain just for, So the reason I'm putting this and here is like to tell the compiler that after checking for this, also check for this. So this must be greater than 0. And this amount 2 also must be greater than 0. So I'm sure have you done logic gate? Not logic gate, like normal logic in mathematics and truth tables. So don't mind me. Okay, let's just continue. Okay. So when you are doing truth table or logic, if you are talking about and, for and to be true, for it to return true, the two conditions must return true. Okay. Yeah, we are comparing two stuff. So for this assert to pass now and not return error for us, this must be true and this must be true. And it's just another way to say that amount must be greater than 0 here, and the amount 2 must be greater than 0. So if not, you just type an error message for the user. Enter valid amount. And this, by the way, this is felt to type. So any message you are returning must be within 31 bits. Okay, let's just write a long message. Enter valid the amount, the value you entered was 0. Blah blah blah. Something. Just be typing. Or I'm sure it's more than 31 now. So let's now do sum is equal to amount 1 plus amount 2. But then we have to also declare sum. Let sum. So you have to first of all declare the variable before you can assign. So let sum is equal to this, and then you can now return sum. So we see down that the error here has disappeared. To return a value in Cairo language, both in smart contract and Cairo program. Okay, I was waiting for this. So to return a value, you don't need to you can just write that variable or the value, anything, just write it at the last line and then leave it. The value has returned. If you want to follow the orthodox way, like the normal traditional way, just do return sum, and then you can put your semicolon. That's just another extra work that is not required. So now this is telling you that the value does not fit within the range of 3252. Okay. Yes. So it's also even telling you that, okay, it's telling you that, yes, see the error message, the value does not fit within the range of type called 3252. So I have to either reduce this, you can reduce this, or I think you should work. Okay, yeah, so we have this. Okay, so this is 3252. The other option, if you must have a very long error message, then you have another option to just come here, add exclamation mark, then you can use byte array type. I mentioned byte array. Okay, so to use byte array, just use double quote, and the compiler knows already that that is a byte array. So that's just it. I'm trying to like go through all everything I just mentioned before in one file so that we see it in action, not just explanation. So what we just do here is to call this function sum. If you call it like this, you have an error. Why? It needs two parameters. If you put your this in here, you are going to see wrong number of arguments, expected to found 0. Are we following? So when you are writing even Cairo, you have an advantage of getting your, what do I call it, your error messages that can explain to you where your error is coming from and what you need to do. So maybe you just have 10 here and another 5. Okay. So what another thing you need to do, since we are returning a value, so we have two options. Let's do basic programming now. We have two options. We can either do this, let result. The reason we can do this is because this sum is returning a value here. So assuming we remove this, and then we have to put this here. If you remove this, you find out that this turned to like empty type, telling you that we are not returning anything. So we are just assigning an empty value to this variable because you are not returning anything. The way to know is look at what the compiler is inferring for you. There's nothing there. So, but then if you come back and have this, you have that you are returning type 2 U32. So this is another way to. I'm taking my time to explain all these things so that you don't have much difficulty when you start writing your codes. Okay, let's continue. So now we can print the result. Sum is placeholder. Again, placeholder, don't forget. Then result. So this is a complete code now. If you run this, we can have something on the terminal. So we are going to get the sum of 5 and 10 on the terminal. So let's try to run. So we have scab. The one of the assignments I gave you already, if you did it, you know that to run a smart contract, you use a scab build to build a smart contract. So you can't run a smart contract because it's not a program, it's a contract. You can only run it when you have deployed it by interacting with it. Either you invoke or you just do a normal call. So I'm not going to explain what invoke and normal call is. If you have, maybe you can check those ones later. Okay. At least it will help you to learn better. So you have scap execute. This is because you want to run a program. You use scap execute. If you want to maybe build your smart contract to see whether it compiles, you use scap build. Scap build. This one is now scap execute. So, wait a minute. Exactly. You have that sum is 15. Okay. So you have that sum is 15 because of this we have here. And this is where we are doing the addition. So I want to do something. Let me remove this. Add fed 252 here. And we are talking about how your code can respond or run based on the type you pass to it. So by default, your amount is 3250. Like your variables, they will give it 3252 by default, and unless you now specify that I want to use so value. So if you're watching here, this thing has changed from U32 to 3252 because of what we changed here. So another thing is you cannot use logical operators. You cannot use logical operators. Logical operators are things like equal to, no, not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, not equal to, those kind of things. You can't use it on a failed type. That's why you get this error here. So I just comment this out. I'm going to do two things. So let's watch and see. If you run this, we still get 15. Okay, let's try something else. I mean, we are working with 3252. So let's try something else. Felt uses simple quote, and I just entered a simple quote here to cover 10. And now instead of having 15, we are having a totally different crazy number. So is what I was telling you. If you are working with values, real values like figures, try to like specify the value. So if it's U32, you specify. And there is a way to check the maximum size of a type. I don't know if I can remember. Okay, size of max. No, not this. I've forgotten. There's a way to do max of U32 or something. I think if I remember it, I will send it across. So there's a way to check. This one is comparing two values, and then it will give you the maximum value. So it's not what I want to do. Yeah. So yes. Now we have seen how we can at least do simple addition and subtraction. Okay. And then there's what we call modulo. Let me just do it. So I don't know if we can do modulo on a failed type. Your modulo is percentage. So what modulo means is it will divide the first value using the second value. So if we have 10 here and 5 here, it's going to divide this 10 with 5. And this, instead of returning to you the 2, that is the answer, it will return to you what remains. Okay, the remainder is what is going to return. That's what we call modulo. So it's not working on failed type. Okay, there's no implementation for modulo on a failed type. You just turn this thing again back to U32, and you return U32. Now we can, okay, we have 5, and let's just make it 4 here. So we have 5 and 4. You are seeing this execute function. Let's click on it. It will run your your code and return the answer for you. Okay, this is amount 1 and the amount 2. Oh, sorry. You're supposed to throw an error. This is not supposed. I mean, this is your unsigned integer. Why is it accepting failed? They need to do more work on this compiler. So the answer is supposed to be, I think, either 1 or 2 or so. Yes, the answer is 2. So if you divide 10 by 4, it's going to give you 2.2. 2 remainder 2, okay? I'm sure all of us know it. So the answer is 2. If you do divide by 5, it's going to give you 2 remainder 0. So what it returns is 0, because we're going to get the remainder. Sorry about that. I need to rest. I just rushed back from lectures and jumped on the call. The funny thing is that we come back from school and still be here before many of you for the class. Try to improve from next class. The class starts by 12 on the dot in Nigerian time. So in our time here, I think it's around 1 p.m. So try to be on the call before your mentor next time. I'm not sure I'm the one that is going to be taking you next week, but whoever is taking you, you try to be early. Okay? So figure this out. Is there another thing I need to show you? On types, we have done. Okay, let me show you how tuple works. Let me show you how tuple works. Okay. So this function, let's say this function accepts. Okay, let me start with this function. Just as it accepts 2 numbers and displays it to users. Okay, so we are returning 2 numbers from the function. Just accept number, then present the number to users. So how to do it is you are going to use a tuple to do it. And to use a tuple, the way to do it is to have this. So normally the values are going to be inside. Okay, let's return 3. So you have this, you have U32, and they have another U32. So this is what we are going to return. Now, already the variable has changed to a tuple type because of this. Okay, so let sum is equal to amount plus, you know what? Okay, let's just do amount 2. So we are going to now return the sum, the amount 1, and the amount 2 as a tuple. So we just do this, then we do amount 1, amount 2, and then the sum. Are we noticing the error has gone away? Okay. So now let's now come here. We pass this 2, and then we print. This can't be right. So we are going to also use the tuple to destructure this. So let's do amount 2 and the sum. So this is how to destructure your tuple. Meanwhile, I'm not sure this is not a good practice to use the name of a function as a variable, but just for practice. Let me change this to total. I think it's better that way. These two total. Yes. So that we don't confuse. value 1 is this, value 2 is this placeholder, total is this. Okay, so all you just need to do now is pass the placeholders amount. So the way you pass it is the way it's going to be assigned to the placeholders. The error has gone away. So the same way the sequence of this is how it's going to be assigned to these placeholders here. So this amount is going to the first one, this amount 2 is going to the value 2, and total is going to the last one. So if you change it, if you do this, bring this here now and interchange it, that means the value 1 is going to be amount 2. Also, you need to be careful about it. So let's now try to execute this and see what happens. So value 1 is 10. That is the 10 here. The value of number 2 is 5. Okay, and then it's telling us that the total value is 15 because we did this summation here. Now, so this is how to use a tuple. This is the way tuple works. So now let's see how arrays work. Okay, so how do we do this? First of all, let's clear this. Okay, let's clear this. Okay, so let's clear this out. Okay, you know what? Let's use this. I'm going to have an array of maybe an array of 5 elements, and then we can place them inside this. Let's reuse this. So the name of the function is going to be array sample. Okay. So we just give it maybe numbers. And then we can do so I was telling you if you want to use a fixed size array, like you know the number of elements you are going to use in the array, you can. So first of all is what type are you using? Is it going to be U32, U64, U8, or a felt? So let's use felt, let's use felt 252. And then which number? How many elements? What's the length of the element? So how you use total number of maybe values or elements in an array is the length. What we call it is the length of the array. So it's going to calculate the total number of elements. So let's say maybe you need seven elements of type 252. And then we can have maybe one there. We do two there. I can't believe I have stayed 1 hour 30 minutes on this call. The domains there. Into the files there. We do Friday. Just be watching this error here. Be watching this error and see when it will go away. We do setup there, and then we do. Do you know why this doesn't throw error? Because by default, numbers take type of field 252. So had it been we have maybe your 32 here, and you place this inside it's going to throw an error. So assuming you have something like this, let's actually this is not supposed to be numbers. It's supposed to be days. You now have let numbers of type U8. Oh, sorry. This is semicolon actually, not comma. So you do type U8 and you have maybe 3 elements is equal to, you do something like this to signify Monday, and you have 8, you have 10, you have 2. Oh, it's even more. So let's take a look at this. First of all, you're getting an error that the number of elements you are passing is more than the accepted length. You put the total length to be 3 and they are passing 4 variables. That's the first error. Okay. So unexpected argument type, expected U8 found. So found felt 252. That's just the thing. Is I think I don't know. Is passing whether is not even ASCII value. So I don't know how it's converting the whole thing. So the first error is showing us is because we have this. So it's not type of U8, so it's not accepted. Let's try to remove it, and then it's also another error. The second error is what? It's supposed to be 3 elements and we have 4. So what can we do? Remove 1. The error goes away. I hope you are seeing this. So this is how your arrays work. Okay. So okay, let's continue. We are going to return a tuple again. The tuple will return today's day, and okay, today is 21. Let's change this to 21. So we are going to return the types is what we are passing here, not the values. I hope we know. So we are going to return U8 first, and then we are going to return felt second. Yeah, I know the error because we have not returned it. Don't worry, we are coming. So we have days of the week and we have a few numbers. Okay. So now today is Friday. We want to access Friday here and then access this 21 here and then pass them. This, if I finish this, we go into control flow. I will rush through control flow because we have spent almost 2 hours on this call already. 30 minutes waiting for you guys to join, and then 1 hour 30 minutes for the class. So let's quickly get the day. Let day is equal to the name, the title, or the name of the array. So already we have that because we mentioned days, it has inferred the type. So enter days. The index, again, I know all of us are developers. I'm not going to explain what index is. We are supposed to know it. The index of an array. So we are counting from 0. So I just remembered a meme. Okay, a father told his son to count 1, 2, 3, to count the numbers we have. So the guy was like 1, 2, 3, and the father said, no, I'm going to disown you. I'm not the person that gave birth to you, because the father was a developer. So you are supposed to know that arrays start from 0, not 1. Okay. So today is Friday. We have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 at index 4. Okay, yes, days dot at 4. Yeah, this is different from solidity. Days dot at index 4. So why am I getting this? Okay, yeah, okay. Is equal to this. We have to. This is crazy, actually. Actually, no. So I'm going to only need Friday from this. So I think I'm not going to like go to copy and paste any code. We are going to resolve this together, all of us. So there's different ways to work with fixed size arrays. I've tried to use the first one. It didn't work. So I think that one is for dynamic arrays. Now let's try something else. So I'm going to use placeholders for other values and only use a variable to represent this inside this square bracket. So the ones I don't need, I use underscore. So what we need is Friday, and this at position how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 4, and now for Friday we pass day, and now we have another underscore because we don't need Saturday and we don't need 89. So is equal to this. Does this work? Expected 7 got 6. Oh, okay. We thought dead. All right. Oh, this works. Okay. So this is one way to do it. Again, I don't want to be like going to maybe check documentation and come and paste code for you. I want you to be seeing these things so that at least you know that if I paste something and you just finish the class, some of you may not remember it. But see me do this and trying to debug live on the call, you get a hang of, okay, this is actually how this works. Okay, so let's not do copy and paste. So we have the structure this. Now we can easily access this day inside here. So these ones, we don't need them. That's why we are using underscore. But we need this one. So that's why you are representing it with a variable. Don't forget. Now let's also get the number, like the date. So we need only the second value. Let this and the date, and this is equal to nums. I'm sure this is not difficult. Okay, it's just that it's what we already know from maybe our previous programming knowledge, like JavaScript and the rest. Okay, so I'm sure it's not difficult to follow. And I'm trying to explain as much as possible. So we are returning a tuple type because of we gave this return type here as tuple. So I want to just return the two values and use it for show today's date and the day. So first of all, we go with the U8 type, which is date. We are using now the variables we added inside this block. Okay, not this. We are using this. So now this is date here. You now see why we needed to add a variable, not to use this. So if you also like, you can add the variable like another date. It will not real. It will only warn you that this is not used. Okay. So you see unused variable. I don't plan to. So you have date here, and you have day. The error goes away. So this is simple how to use your arrays, fixed size arrays. We have dynamic size arrays that you need to either do iteration. That's when you start using dot append dot. Yeah, see that if you want to learn all these things, just go and study documentation. I'm going to tell you one thing. Leave if you want to learn coding, leave ChatGPT and all this AI. Try to use documentation. So it's bad enough. We now see that a few days, I think it was yesterday, Cloudflare went offline. A few days ago, which one is the AWS went offline. I'm sure it's because of vibe coding. People that say they are vibe coders, you just give prompt to AI. You don't even know you can't even understand the code the thing is generating, and just copy and paste. It's nonsense. I use cloud, see it. It's even here. I use it. But the thing is, I studied, I guess I know the code, everything is generating, I know it. So if it makes a mistake, I'm going to correct it. I will teach AI, say this is how to do it. I only use it to make my work faster, not to help me to generate code because I don't know it. So it's a totally different thing. Using AI to write a code because you don't know it, and maybe using AI to tell AI, okay, generate this for me because I want to save time. So don't use, if you want to learn, don't abandon ChatGPT and all this for now. Focus on learning, use documentation and learn for next maybe 2-3 months. When you now get comfortable that you know this and you know it well, you can now start using AI. At least you can correct AI when AI makes a mistake. Just finish talking now. It's still is the remaining one is left for you guys. So you have today's day is today's date is this. This is going out. And then today is this. Okay. Now we can have our array because we already assigned the values we are returning to this AWR. So this is now containing these two values. So to access the values, just use a dot notation. So first there is array like this. That's the name of this variable. Dot. Will it work? Is it dot date? Let me check. Dot date, and we have array. Is not going to work. Dot what again? Dot there. Okay. The dot notation is not working. Let's try another pattern. We use this. Is not working. Also. Okay. Okay. I'm sure, definitely sure we are going to fix it. So let's just let R is equal to, now we do let date and there is equal to array. Are we following now? Let's also try this pattern if it will work. So we destructure the array we are returning from this function, and then the structure using a tuple because we are returning a tuple here. Okay, so we destructure it using the tuple, and now we can access the individual element. So we have date here. Okay, it's not throwing error. And we have day here. Fantastic. So there's no it's not that complex actually. I'm just trying to like, let's try this. If it doesn't work, let's try the other one. I want you guys to follow, and I believe that the more I'm doing this, the more you are learning too. Yes. So let's run this and see. Yeah, out this. Exactly. Yeah, I didn't want to go into this. So today is 21. 21 is type U8, so there's no change for it. Today's date is 21. Now we have that today is a very large number. I don't know what it is actually. But then 3252 is combination of characters. Do you know what characters C? Something like this. CHAR. Have you come across something like this before? Yes, I know. I'm sure we have. So these are single characters that are used to form strings in programming languages. So normally you don't get string by default in any language. Even though you have string in JavaScript and you have string in Rust, you don't get string by default. By default, what you have is just char or car, anything you call it. CHAR is a single character, a single ASCII code. Again, see, I don't want to be of your map the code, a binary code or number to it. I'm not sure whether it's binary or just random numbers. I think it's values actually. You have, I think A is 65, either Unicode or ASCII code, I've forgotten. But what I'm trying to explain is felt type is under the hood. These are characters. Okay, these are single characters that are just joined together to form a word. The same way, long strings are also a concatenation of characters. Do we follow? Is an array containing different characters combined, joined together. Just take it like that, please. I don't want to confuse you or even go into more details about this. You can study ASCII code and Unicode later and how strings are formed. So do you have any questions? No questions. Okay, let's round up. So this is it for data types. Okay, let me quickly rush through. Oh, type conversion. You can learn this one on your own. Okay, just try into and into. Just play around with it. If you have questions, you can just consult the documentation. I will send you the documentation later. So control flow. Control flow is simply how to run a block of code depending on conditions. Okay, if this condition is true, run this code. If it's false, jump this code, don't run it. So to do this, we use if statement, we use if else statement. And again, I'm sure all of us know this because we are not newbies. Okay, we also use other conditionals like if it's greater than this, do this, like logical conditionals. And we can also use iterations and loops. Okay, if this is true, continue running this till this becomes false. Okay, or just run this and then break at this point. Control flow is the concept of running a code block or program only when a condition is met. Okay, and based on the logic, the code block or program can be run once or repeatedly, which I just mentioned, which is a loop, which only breaks when a condition is met. So we have if expressions like what we have here. If number is 5, so if you guys want to help yourself, I'm sure we all know this, but there's this popular interview questions from many years ago, the fizz balls. So if a number, you take a number, if it's even number, you print fizz. If it's odd number, you print I think is it prime number and stuff. So if the number is even, you print fizz. If it's odd, is it prime number? Then there's one that if it's either prime or the other one, you now print fizz balls. So you can just, maybe if the number is 5, you print fizz. If it's maybe 10, you print balls. If it's greater than 100, you print fizz balls, something like that. It's just is a way to like learn how to use if else statement. Okay, I might maybe show it on the code later if you have time, but I want to finish this by 3:30 or at least 3:45. I'm very tired. So this is loops. So loop is used for repeating a code block a number of times depending on the condition that we are given. So this is a standard way to write loop in Cairo. Okay, so you first of all give it a condition to avoid having what we call what do you call that thing? A loop that never ends, a continuous loop. I've forgotten what they call that stuff. So it's running eternally until it freezes your system. So infinite loop. Thank you. To avoid getting an infinite loop, you have to give it a condition so that once that condition is met, the loop will break off. Is what I'm saying. All of us are experienced developers. I don't need to spend time doing this. So this is how you write loop in Cairo language, like this. So you can also do continue. So if this is the first condition, if it reaches here, it will break. But if this is this equal to this, or this is a condition, if this condition is met, just continue. So continue is a keyword that you can use to continue running the program. So while loop actually is the most, I think is the most efficient one to use. Even the compiler will tell you just use while loop, because using while loop, you just set the condition once and then your code runs. So you don't have to start doing. Anyway, I think I will do a few of these in the code later. Okay, yeah, let's jump into code. Oh God. Okay. So I don't know if you guys do. You don't no longer need this. Let me just. We no longer need this. Oh. Okay, so let's do a loop. First of all, let's start with if. I'm not doing if actually. I will not do if. So you learn how to do if statement by yourself. If you can't, maybe you don't know how to do it, or you can't follow because maybe. But I think if statement in Cairo is the same way you write it, even in JavaScript, even in the most basic high level languages, is the same. Like your JavaScript and TypeScript or your React, the way you write if statements is the same. Okay, so it's the only difference where you start talking about maybe you and the other assembly languages. So let's jump to loop. Do a loop. First of all, you have to create maybe a counter or something like that. Did I talk about mutable variables and immutable? Yes, I mentioned it in the first class. So let's mute I 1. No, it's I is equal to 0. So we have to make it mutable because we are running a loop. So I is representing the whole numbers from 1, or the whole element from 1 to the end of the element. So it's like a placeholder for all of them. Okay, so we now do loop. First of all, you have to give it a breaking point. So we now do if. You can either do this. It's not compulsory to put it. So let's just continue. If I is once is equal to, if I is equal, remember there's a difference between oh God of Israel, there's a difference between this equal to and this. I mentioned it the other day also. So one is assigning, the other one is comparing. If one is equal to 3, if I is equal to 3, break. So you have your code block here. Oh no, is yes. So let me not confuse us, okay? Let me just do it like this. So this is, I know most of you now understand, this is the code for you here. Let me also put this so that we don't start looking confused. It's the same. And I know all of us, most of us know this. Can also cover it like this, fine and good. So if I is equal to 10, break out of the loop. Now, let's just print something. Print number is placeholder, comma, I. I'm sure all of us know what I just did. So I'm not I'm not going to spend time explaining it. Ah, God of Israel. See, this I here is like a placeholder for all the numbers from 0 to 10. So we count from 0 to 10. Once it reaches 10, it will jump out. So this I here is standing for all the numbers from 0 to 10. That's why I is 0 here from the beginning. So we are going to count from 1 to 10, from 0 to 10 actually. Now, it will not count on its own. You have to increment, like you have to tell the program to, go to the next number, until we reach to the breaking point. So what we just do is to increment I like this. Again, I'm sure all of us know what I just did. This one, I'm not going to explain it. If you don't know what I just did, just Google it. Okay. You also learn by going to like research some of these things by yourself, not just staying and maybe looking and maybe copying everything, hook, line, and sinker. Yes. So if you don't understand this, it's very simple, very, very simple. Just Google it. Okay. So let me be sure that I'm still live here. Okay, still on. So let me quickly hover over this. So see what the compiler is telling us. You seem to be trying to use the loop. Now consider replacing this loop with a while loop. One, for clarity. Secondly, for conciseness. I told you while loop is more efficient than using loop. Okay, so let's run this and see what happens. I'm not sure if this is even correct, but we will see. Let's do scab execute. Yeah, okay. Thank God it's correct. Okay, so we see what just happened. We printed the entire number from 0 to 9, and we told the code that if this is 10, just jump out of the code, don't stop executing. That means we are not going to print 10, because once the code checks that this is 10, it's going to break before even getting to this line of code. And we know that, again, we know, because all of us are senior engineers, we know that code runs from top to bottom. It's basic knowledge. So when you have this condition here, you are ultimately telling this code that once this thing gets to 10, you break out. Okay. So if I copy this and paste inside here, let me see what happens. If I copy this and paste inside here, I'm not sure if it will work though. But let's just see and find out. Are we seeing this number 10? That's what happens. So your code runs from top to bottom. Once you give it a condition to break here, the code has ended. So the thing just hits 10 at the first instance and break. It has ended based on the command you gave it. So it's not going to run this. But now that I add this stuff here, it's going to print because it has to do this before getting to the breaking point. And then I'm sure all of us are just wasting my time. All of us know this. Okay. So let me do while loop and we end while loop. Okay, let me do something fun. So let's do this. Meanwhile, this is even I told you that if you want to measure something that is in a group or something that takes a size, because now we are talking about the length of something, you have to use your size. Your size. I'm trying to be like, I'm trying to follow everything so that all of us will understand. So you have this, and you now tell the compiler while I is less than. Wait, is it less than? We see. While I is less than 3. I'm going to confirm actually. I'm not sure. Let me just continue. So print I, and then you do I minus equal to 1. And then here you have print line if off. Sincerely, I'm not sure this thing will unreachable code. I'm not sure if this will work, but let's just see. Let's see how this thing works. I'm not sure. So if it doesn't work, we try to fix it. Okay. How do we do this? This is 3 here. Okay. I less than 3 is not equal to 3. Stuff. Coding is fun. You get? It's fun. So what I just did is like a rocket sequence for launching rockets from their base. So the countdown for launching rockets. Okay, so you have 3, 2, 1, and then lift off. So instead of using a the loop, the normal long one. I just used the a while loop. Again, I didn't want to go and copy. This is in documentation actually. I didn't want to go and copy this and paste for you guys. So I wanted to like do it. Let's do it together so that we see that nobody knows everything. Even though I might know it, but let's just play around it and then see how we can fix the codes up when we are writing programs. So yes, this is it for coding. We are done with the coding part. So if you have any question, let me check if there is any question. Okay, no question. Okay. We are done with the coding aspect. So let me just, this is 3:32. In the next 5-10 minutes, let me introduce you to what we call Starklings. Starklings is where you learn a Cairo programming language by doing it. So you learn by doing. It's like rustling, if you have done rustlings before. So starklings.app. So I'm just going to do maybe 5 of them or so, and then you'll do the rest. Yes, so this is it. What's here? Let me see. So yes, if you log in, try to connect your GitHub. Again, I'm sure all of us have GitHub. If you don't have GitHub account, you are not a developer. I don't know what I've been telling you before, but if you don't have GitHub account, you are not a developer. That's as simple as that. So connect your GitHub account, then you can start. Oh, I've done all these ones. So let's still start from number 1. Okay. Let's start from number 1, intro. So let's follow this. The exercise doesn't do anything yet. So this thing doesn't do anything yet, but it still compiles. Cairo file getting run. Cairo file getting run needs to have a main function. I think we have seen all these ones before. So we just finished writing programs, for God's sake. We have seen all these ones before. So this file is a valid Cairo file. That says we require you to write code to make the exercises compile. So this is the part I was looking for. Other exercises here will now require you to correct the code here so that you can run it here, down here. So let's continue. This exercise won't compile. Can you make it compile? Let's try this. So let me send the link to this app to you guys. So this is the assignment for today. Anywhere I stopped this afternoon, try to continue from it and then finish the exercises. This is the link to the app. So anywhere I stopped today, try to continue from it, then finish it up. It's not that long. So just this is not much. So let's go to next. Do not change the text. It's jumping to quiz. No. Oh, let me try to open this using another browser. I think I've done all this before, but I want you to see this, how the thing looks like. Here is my Safari. Okay. So I hope you can see this browser. Can we see the browser I just opened, the new one? Okay. Okay, let's continue. So. Okay. So yes, this is it here. I'm not connecting any GitHub. So let's just start. Skip it. So it's telling us the same thing it told us before. Don't need it. Next. This says it won't compile, make it compile. So this is the like the basic. So what is requiring us to just write something that can compile, a Cairo program that can compile. So the basic thing you can do just is this main and then the implementation. If you like, you also put semicolon here. Now let's try again. Okay, so what's happening? What is happening? This is crazy. Let's go next. So make me actually, if you want to get an, maybe you don't have an idea of what is happening, you don't have an idea of the question here, you want to get an idea, you can just click on this. It will give you a hint to solve the problem. So it's missing a keyword on line 8. On line 8. And it's even funny because there's no line 8 here. But then it gives you a hint of what I'm supposed to do. Adjust it. So here now, looking at this, you know, at first glance, it might look that like there's no error. But now you now start following it line by line. Okay, this one is correct. Now, how do you initialize a variable in Cairo? So this is wrong. This line is wrong because you can't assign a value to x when you have not declared x. Okay, so to declare it, you have two options, but I'm just going to do this. Let x is equal to 5. And then if you like, you can either add the type here or you leave it. It also works. So in Cairo, you must have let something is something for you to declare or at least initialize that variable. Okay, so let's go next. Make me compile, having trouble getting it. Okay, so let x, if x is equal to 10, print x is 10. Let's start from the beginning actually. This is correct. Okay, yes, I think you see it better now. So the first line is correct. Second line is a bit, okay, we have let at least, but x is not giving any value. So there's nothing to compare with this 10. You get? X is not giving any value. Is like by default, it's something like this now because it's felt by default. So it's like this. There's no value. And therefore, you can't compare it with 10. So what we can just do is equal to maybe a number like this. And then we try to compile and see. Exactly. So I hope you are following this. I just do a few more and then we end for today so that I can do other things I have to do. Let x of type 252. Okay, there's no value assigned. You can now assign a value to it. Felt is single quotation. Okay, so felt you can write just maybe one, something like this, and they should work. Okay, yeah. So this is how this thing works. It's just like simple tasks for you to do. Okay, so you also have if statement here. You also have functions. There's also loops and enums. We didn't touch enums. So you studied these ones, enums, struct, and okay, we did arrays. There's also enums and struct. So struct on Rust and other things is the same struct here, just that there's a little difference on how you instantiate struct and how you access struct element. Actually, in the contract, let me see if I can open that contract. Okay. So in this contract, this is struct here. So I mentioned it earlier. The storage, our global variables are stored inside the struct. This is the struct here. So this is the name of the struct. And then this is the struct element. Now, if you want to access anything inside this struct, all you have to do is just call the struct name and then use a dot notation to access what is inside. That's why you have this, because this the contract is taking the whole state as self, like it's implementing the whole state. So that's why you can access this using self. But if you have another struct here, you can access the struct by just using a struct notation. See, you can try all this later. Then if you have questions, you just refer to this documentation. We have arrays, dictionaries, you have ownership. I mentioned ownership before. So you have enums. Let's see. No. I can find enums and pattern matching. Okay. So this is struct. If you have any question, like there is a confusion when you are working with struct, just go back to Cairo book. Go back to Cairo book and search for defining and instantiating struct. Is you just check this from the table of content. Okay, so you have everything you need here, or you can just click on this search button and then type struct inside. Okay, generics and data type struct. Open it. Open it. You follow what is inside. To assign, this is just assigning. To access what is inside, you use dot notation. Do we have? Yes, exactly. So this is it here. This is where they are showing you the implementation. So FF balance, this is implementing this wallet. I want to see if there's anyone that just returns the this thing by using the struct name. So not just, let me see if I can find any. There is none. Okay, so what do I do? What do I do? This is going to be the last thing I will do, and I will end the class. I'm super tired. Okay, so let's have this. So you have your struct here, and then you give it a name, maybe a balance, and then you have this. What's this? Don't we use struct in expected? So have balance of type U32. So inside the struct, you don't use semicolon like this. You use used this. So now, assuming you want to now assign to struct, so let's have maybe let balance 1 is equal to 70. Why is all this throwing error? Well, let's just do it in another function. Struct sample return maybe U8, which is the balance, and then you can have this. So I think you can't even use struct in programs. Expected return type out of this missing token. Are you kidding me? This is funny. This is funny. So let me try to do something. Okay, so we are back to contract. We are back to contract. Now we can remove all this. And then this is StarkNet contract. And then we do mod test in the name of our destiny. You must have your storage variable. I mean your storage struct. So you have inside it, you have storage. Then you can do struct. And you have storage. No, capital S. So that the error can go away. Now you have balance inside. Type U8 also. But I want to have another struct. So let's say user. So it's going to contain user details. So you now say maybe name of user is of type failed 252. Failed 252. So now we have, let's do function and insert name. And then we are going to say let user, oh no, let this user of type big user is equal to, oh, exactly. So you are assigning value to that user. Okay, you are assigning value to the user you have inside this user struct. This is the way to do it. If you want, you can just remove this. It's not compulsory. So by default, yes, it's going to assign it by default. So let's say name is Lucky, like this. Okay. Not dropped. Oh yes, you have to implement annotate. Is it derive drop? Yes. So all this trying to beautify it and all the rest is just telling the compiler that once this thing goes out of scope, you drop it. It's part of memory management in Cairo language. So I told you that Cairo is memory safe. So all these things is just to efficiently manage the system memory. So you can research all this later on the Cairo book. Is there also. So now you have that let user is equal to this. You are inserting user. Now let's do get user. Get user. It's going to return it's going to return 252. Okay, so you now do is it let user is equal to user dot no. It's not like this. Okay, this is not the same with solidity. So I wanted to like try something new, but it didn't work. So we don't have any other option than to implement this struct. So we have to implement the struct to get access to what is inside. It's the same thing with what they did in the documentation, but I wanted to check my own to be sure. just try something different. So just what we need to do is to implement this struct. Use the keyword input user, and now you can bring this inside and get this out. Then user will now become self dot of user, not a trait. I is a minute. Okay. So how do we do this? User, we have assigned this to be lucky. So if I want to get this, let me just try one more time. I want to get this user inside here. User is equal to find out is equal to it's not working. This doesn't work in Cairo. So you have to implement. Okay, so what I was trying to do did not work. Let's balance and address. Okay. Yeah, so now I get it. Okay. So it has to be a trait. So let me just try one more time. So yeah. Yeah, so this becomes user is equal to refer to yes. All right. So I think I have forgotten how we use this, how we use struct in contract. So aside this, of course, so there's a way we do the implementations, but I think everything should be in the Cairo book. So okay, so this is, you first of all declare the struct, then you do implement. But I think this is for Cairo program, though, not smart contract. So I think this is for Cairo program. Yeah, so don't know. So I'm trying to round up. Just want to do one more thing and we call it a day. Is someone just joining the call? Ah, God. Okay. So this is project 1, and this is project 1. And this is project 1. So let me just finish up with the struct and we end the class. So you have this main function, and we have the next function, test struct, that is taking nothing and returning nothing. So we just do struct user, then we annotate the type. So which type are we using? Let's just use, okay, T. Let's do 2 types. T will be for the name of the user. U, capital U, will be for the amount, like the balance. So let's have name. Name will be 252 of type. So we have balance. Balance will be of type U256. So now we can do create user. Oh wait, T U. Is a defined multiple. And let me just refer to this and see how it was done. Oh no. Okay. Oh, this was even defined outside the main function. Cairo language. So we have this defined outside. So we define these things mostly at the top. And don't forget to annotate it with a drop feature. Okay, so This is struct wallets balance. Okay. So I didn't plan to do all this today. So it's been long. It's been long. I worked with like creating struct aside the storage struct. Okay. So that's why I'm trying to like consult the documentation. So now we can assign. So say let's name is equal to lucky, and we say let balance is equal to 1 million. So remember that these things are just placeholders. It can contain any type at all. But why we need to specify this is so that it will not confuse the elements. Okay. So if you are sending if you are sending this to name, we know that okay, name is of type, any type you are sending that is different from this. So if it's going to be the same type, you can just, just leave it as T, all of them should be TT if it's going to be the same type. But since we have two different values, so let me give this type U256. So now we can assign value to the struct. So I can do user name is name. Actually, let's just do it like this. There's no need for this. Expected found. What's this? This is strange. Balance is balance. Okay, so I think I should be able to like have this like this. What are you telling me? So if the name of the element is the same with the name of your variable, you can just pass it like this without having to put semicolon and then having this thing again. So this is the way to use to assign your this thing, your variables. So let's also try to implement user with a lot of notations. Let me check. So you have to pass this and then copy, make it copyable. Wow, nice. Of user. So pass T U, and then you have T here, U here. Let me confirm again. Okay, I have T, comma plus copy T. Missing comma. Expected one found two. Okay, what's causing this wallet threat? Is this a wallet threat here? Of user. It's Struct threat, wallet threat. Okay. This is giving me it's a lot of going up and down, going up and down. Let's just finish it up. We have started already. So I have thread. Is that thread? Let me put this in here. Oh, is that thread of this type? Is that thread of this type and this sounds this type? But then why do I need to return this since I already have a type I'm working with? Okay, I just leave this. Now return user dot name. I think I found what I'm looking for. So since we already have this, what I wanted to, the reason I'm doing all these things is because I wanted to show you how to use dot notation to get your struct. So since you already have this, you can easily do user dot balance. So assuming we are returning this here, we are returning 256. So we can easily do user dot balance, or let's return a tuple this thing. So you have 252 here. So now here you are going to have balance and name, user.name. So you have this, the way to, do you even need this? This is pressing my life out. Exactly. So the way to do this, let all those long stuff they are writing in the documentation. So you can do the long way, but this is the simple way to do this. So just initialize your user, then use user.name or user dot to refer to any of them. Then the where you need to like do more work is when you want to just have a function that is reading the user struct. Then you have to take the implement this as a thread, and then the function will now inherit it as self. Inside it, you can now have self dot this. the way they did it in the documentation here. So you can just follow the documentation and then resolve your issues. So again, I didn't want to copy and paste for you guys. So even though this might be a bit going rough and rough, but I didn't want to just copy code for you guys. It's easy for me to just arrange all these things in a slide or copy the code and paste for you and just explain. But I think with this, I also refresh my memory and then you also understand better. So at this juncture, we call it a day.